What's going on, guys? Faisal Velani here from Velani Consulting, and welcome back to the Cultural Shift. Today is a very, very special day for me. My next guest, Adil Mackwani, I'm going to call him the kid. I've known this kid for God knows how long now. He literally grew up right in front of me. And to see him launch his career and be where he's at right now, it's truly, truly amazing. So I'm humbled. I'm honored to introduce to you Adil Mackwani. Adil, my man, how's it going?
Good, man. Thank you. Thank you for such kind words, man. Yeah, we've known each other for a while, man. A while.
Yeah,
We've definitely it's been a long road.
yeah, it's been a journey for both you and I, right? Like you kind of grew up, you went to college after me. So my sister's 4 years younger than me. I
Hmm.
typically kind of consider you within the same category as her, like a younger brother, because I've seen you grow up into the phases that my sister's gone through
Hmm.
high school, middle school, high school, college, MBA, all of that jazz that you've done. I've always kind of seen the path as the exact same thing. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now in quarantine. I know we were just talking about your hair.
Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, my hair's been growing out, but like, I just been working, man. Like, buckling down for the most part, trying to lay a strong foundation. I think like this is almost my second year will be in January. So when January comes around next year, it'll be my second year.
Yeah,
And it's just, I think, making sure that you're like keeping active. That's what I've been doing is just things that you could always postpone, get them done. Like just saying
yeah,
that, what, I have the time right now. There are no excuses, no travel time.
yeah,
Clients are willing to meet also online, and which is convenient, so you can make your time most efficient as possible.
yeah. I think accessibility is so important right now, right? Anybody who's ever said I don't have time to do something, well, right now it's the time to do it. You could either sit there and binge watch some TV, or you can grow
Yeah.
your net worth.
Yeah, and luckily, like the government's also kind of paying you to do it too. So it's not like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's at least for the last couple months
Right.
there was no like, I guess, physical harm on people's income as much.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I've always wanted to ask you this. I don't think we've ever really spoken about this, but you are one individual that I never saw any fear as far as opening up your own business, right? Ever since I've known you, ever since I've kind of spoken to you throughout college, you specifically told me when you're done, this is what you're doing. Like you were laser focused. So where
Yeah.
did that focus come from and what gives you that lack of fear?
Passion.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only thing I found what I wanted to do, and there was nothing going to stop in my way to get it. So it's when you're that dedicated into something, it's not about the money, or like it's in the sense of that I need to do this, or I'm doing it for some reason. It's just I want that, and there's like nothing else I would see myself doing. When I found that, hey, this is kind of like what it is, I just kept reading so much into the subject where it just fascinated me, like all my hobbies, my time, everything that I could dedicate towards it. So I realized that, hey, what better thing not to make a career out of? And like
Yeah.
I've also been blessed that like I haven't had that much of a financial struggle growing up. Like my education was paid for, and a lot of people have to work. So like I was working through my master's to gain experience and make sure that I'm an expert, I guess, as well as there's things that you learn from school
Right.
versus like things that you're going to learn from just practically doing the job.
Yeah.
So having a good balance in that and having that flexibility, it's been a blessing to find that. And I guess that passion, that focus just came from that, more so that I found something that triggered that, hey, I really enjoy doing this.
It's so funny that you said that because a big part of my program is helping people find their passion.
Hmm.
And the weirdest part that I've seen is people seem to think that their passion has to be something outrageous or something unique, something that's artsy or something that is, stuff that you see on TV. You have this wake up call and you're a banker and you turn
As
out to be
seen
like,
on TV, that's exactly what I call it. Yes,
yeah,
everything is as seen on TV.
yeah, you turn out to be a musician or like a classical dancer, but that's not the case, right? Your passion is learning about money and about investing, something that is so crucial in people's lives. So maybe talk us through what was that aha moment when you realized money, that's what you like to work on, that's what you like to talk about is money.
Yeah, because I think it's one thing that people frown away from talking about. and it's something
Right.
that's kind of like a hidden thing where it's like, oh, it's bad if I don't talk about it, and if I don't address it, then it'll just be there. And I think living in America, you have an opportunity where
Mhm.
you can live, and it's not really paycheck to paycheck, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like you're coasting through, right? You're not really setting your foundation, you're not setting your life, your lifestyle how you want it. More so it's controlled by how much your income is.
Right.
And I think personally, through financial planning and through just different educational resources, I think it's a lack of education, and that's not on the individual, because it's hard to become a subject matter expert in
Hmm.
someone's field as well as also learn finance. Now, if finance is your subject matter expert, then like you're going to be a student of it and always learning it. But
Right.
to be an expert in something and to be an expert in finance, it's very tough on individuals, and it's something that's not taught. Economics is taught to understand supply and demand, but
Right.
financial concepts of how to invest in your 401k,
Hmm.
what is the 401k for, what's going to help you do, different tax strategies and different things that are just basic necessities like savings, right? How much should I put into savings versus how much do I invest, or when do I start investing, or what's my
Yeah.
risk? All these things are just things that are not taught, which should be. In me personally, I think that your freshman year of college, when you're doing your basics, there should be a financial 101 that
Yeah.
says that, hey, if you want to open a business or if you want to just file your taxes, this is what you do.
Yeah. I remember one of my freshman classes was TD 101, Theater and Dance 101, and that was required. And I
Yeah.
look back and I say, yeah, no, finance class would have been so much more helpful at this point in time.
Yeah, and finance is a very, very deep subject, and most subjects are that are like even law, medicine, marketing. Like there's so many subjects to that. There's so many different roads you can go down.
Right.
But a basic financial planning structure, it's pretty similar, right? Let me save. These are the right
Yeah.
buckets I need to save in, and then this is an investment strategy that I'm going to use,
Right.
and then it's staying mechanical,
Yeah.
because like what any expert will tell you, it's always about a routine, a solid routine, and you
Mhm.
keep going through the same motions where it becomes second nature to you almost.
So I about 2 weeks ago, I had another financial consultant on here. His name was Jedediah Collins, and one of the things that he mentioned, which I thought was such a aha moment for our listeners, is it's not that you have a lack of money; it's you have a lack of relationship with your money, right? You don't know how to use your money. You don't know how to put it into certain places.
Mhm.
So from a basic perspective, from somebody who's listening but doesn't really even know what type of questions to ask you, what are some FAQs that you can give to them to say, hey, here's what you should look at right now?
Okay, so like, I mean, first of all, there's like a cash flow like analysis that you need to do, and you need to see how much of your cash is coming in and going out, kind of like balancing your checkbook. That's
Mhm.
number one, right? From there, you want to see what your situation is, and that's kind of like working with a planner. But there's mainly three main buckets of taxation, right? Either you're going to be taxed now,
Mhm.
either it's going to be deferring your tax to a later day in time, and
Mhm.
you'll pay tax whenever you pull out the money out of that account at that time,
Right.
or you pay taxes right now and then you'll have tax-free income whenever you pull out.
Okay.
So once you figure out that these are the three kind of main buckets that an individual has, right? These are the opportunities that you can kind of invest your money. From there, what is the strategy inside of there, and then making sure that what right bucket fits towards you. Now, when you work for a company versus being a business owner,
Mhm.
there's a lot more different things, because as a business owner, you're allowed to kind of set up you're on your own to set up your plan, which gives you more flexibility versus
Right.
being an employee where your benefits are pretty much given to you by your employer and they pick everything out for you.
Right.
So usually if you're working for somebody, you kind of want to build around that for a little bit. Make sure that maximize what you can get for free for working with them.
Mhm.
And then whatever supplement you need, make sure that that's the right areas. And that's the first thing. I think most people, what happens is when they get paid, they pay their expenses first.
Yeah.
And then they have their lifestyle and then they save.
Mhm.
Instead, what you need to do is the minute you get paid, if it's $100, $20 goes into your savings,
Mhm.
60, $70 goes into your debt, and then the rest will go into your lifestyle.
Okay.
reverse it. And once you start doing that, now you've created a pot of money where you're paying yourself. I mean, why do you work? The number one reason why people work is to pay expenses and to
Right.
eventually not work,
Okay.
right? Like besides they have passions, but for the
Right.
money, people work for those two reasons. So like if they can, if you if you're going to pay yourself at the end, wouldn't you want to pay yourself first for the time that you put in, and then worry about the debt, and then worry about
Yeah.
making sure that okay, this is the lifestyle and the means I can live in.
Right.
And once you do that for a while, you kind of become structural at it.
Selena. So you're talking about, it reminds me of Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? You're talking about the Robert
Mhm.
Kiyosaki model. So the biggest question that I had when I first read that book, and I'm pretty sure somebody out there is thinking, out of $100, if your debt is more than 70%, right? Do you still go ahead and save that 20% and let the debt accumulate? Or do
No,
you
it's
pay up the debt
tiered.
price?
It's definitely tiered. So
Okay.
like you would save at that point, 20% is an ideal amount. That's like a number that's just, the generic number. Each person's is going to
Okay.
be developed based on what their obviously debt is and making sure that their cash flow is what it's at. But most of the time, then I would still say pay yourself 5%. You
Okay.
still want to be paying yourself a little bit. Eventually, you want to work your way up to 20%.
Okay.
And as business owners, they have more flexibility in their cash flow. Most of the time,
Right.
they want to reinvest back into the business.
Hmm.
But you need to take some of, once your business is making some money from it, you want to take some of that and make sure that you have a bucket set up to the side in
Right.
case there's downturns, right? There's,
Mm.
as we're speaking, there's maybe you were so mechanical in the process of like I guess old school versus not being online so much like a lot of people like a lot of businesses they're getting in that transition and if they have the capital on the side to be able to make that transition happen they can take
Yeah.
advantage then.
Absolutely. I think especially in the times we're in right now, I actually just did a presentation for Business Transformation or Operational Summit, and that
Hmm.
was the main subject is digital transformation. Companies who've been delaying this for decades now have somehow figured it out within a matter of weeks to months because they had to. They had no choice. If they didn't do it, their business was going to shut down.
I think that that like shows American standards like
Yeah.
that's when our back is against the wall we shine and I mean
Right.
I can people are worried about a cure I think we have some of the best scientists, some of the greatest companies in the world. Is I mean, as much
Yeah.
as the news is going to push you to show like the world is going to end every day because that's profitable for
Right.
them. Like I mean, chaos is profitable, so that's why
Yeah.
they're going to show that all the time. Versus most people can have a general conversation and come to some median on terms,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Like and making sure that like you're able to I guess separate the two
Hmm.
and making that the business is able to outstand through all of those different turmoils or all the chaos that is pretty much caused.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean we've got historical records, right? We've got trends like the Spanish flu when it came out. We've gone through these types of crisis before, and with less resources, less technology, less education, we've been able to come out on top. So there's no reason to believe that with all the abundance we have in our world right now, that we can't overcome this, right? Can you imagine being
Yeah.
quarantined in your house for for 6 to 8 months? Without TV, without social media, without any access to the outside world. I don't feel like we're quarantined. I just feel like we're on a, I don't want to say mini vacation, but we're at home still being able to access to every single person that I want to talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean I think that's what it is. It's not a bad thing. I mean you have to make the best of your situation.
Yeah.
Like not everybody's dealt like I guess pocket aces for the most part, right? Like I
Right.
mean, if that's your card, right? Most people are gonna be like, no, sorry, I don't want that.
Right.
But like, you deal with your gut, and like most people, if you listen, successful people like Robert Kiyosaki, all of them, like they all talk about that. You kind of make the best of your situation,
Yeah.
and from there, you're able to look in a brighter light, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the main thing. Like it's always trying to find like if you're always going to be a like a Debbie Downer and make sure that hey like everything is kind of bad
Right.
or you're going to always emphasize on that, then how are you going to like I guess get people to believe in you or believe in what
Right.
what your what your mission is on this earth, right?
Right. And we know that, right? You and I both know some people that we've grown up with. They are absolute Debbie Downers, right? And the world's always ending. Doesn't matter if you give them $100 bill; it's a dirty $100 bill, right?
Yeah.
There's always something wrong with the situation. And it's funny because you talk about a lot of successful people. I listen to a lot of Tony Robbins, and he talks
Yeah.
about this thing in your head called a reticular activating system. It's particularly, he says, your mind is like a guided missile. So
Mhm.
once you tell your mind this is important to you, so if you go out and you buy a blue Audi, you see that blue Audi everywhere. It's not that it
Yeah.
was there before, but now your mind recognizes this is important to me, so I'm going to show this to you. I'm not stopping the stimulus. So the same thing with gratitude and happiness and being appreciative of what you have. If you continue to be a Debbie Downer, your mind is going to continue to show everything that's wrong with this world. But if you continue to think on the positive side and don't be ignorant, right? Recognize that there's some things that are wrong, but if you realize that there's opportunity in everything, your mind will now start showing you opportunity. So you could turn it into a weapon for yourself to either be something good for you or it could harm you itself.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. It's just making sure that you're equipped the right way, and a lot of it is just your mentality. I
Yeah,
think that's the one thing that's common amongst all the like people that we're mentioning, that it's their mentality, the way they go into something. It might not be what they're really doing, but that's what they're trying to promote. Is the it's a more better mentality. Look for the an opportunistic view in life.
absolutely. So speaking of mindset, I want to jump into you're published now. You are an author, which is amazing. So tell me a little bit about your book, Tax Strategies. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's just a guide. So like what we were talking about, lack of education, right? And I think that's what drove me. Like I'm not an author. Like in my head, I still forget that. Like, hey man, I turned it into a book. I created like
Yeah.
this whole thing. It's still fairly new, but it was like a guide because I was very irritated that there wasn't something written and there's not a class that's really taught to teach you how to save in the right buckets and
Hmm.
different strategies that you could employ while doing what you love. Because I don't think making money
Hmm.
is like you work to make money. You work to, I guess, make money to do what you need.
Right.
But your life is your life, right? As long as your buckets are right, you can choose the work that you want to be in.
Yeah.
You know, like if you know how to save the right way and you're saving and creating a lifestyle and making sure that, hey, my financial stuff is taken care of, you can choose to be in any type of career.
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe
Yeah,
that.
and I yeah, and I think that's the one thing I wanted to write the book was because I want people to do what they love, but
Hmm.
be educated in the sense that, hey, these are the financial decisions and these are things I need to tackle head on. So
Okay.
the book is kind of like broken down into just different vehicles because I think people get confused with like all the different tax codes and different things that are said in the book. So it kind of just talks about emergency funds, then life insurance, and making sure that, hey, your cash value part of your life insurance is set up to work with a fiduciary. Also, working with a fiduciary is a very big thing because he's
Okay.
always going to look at your interest instead of any other own's interest, and that's the difference between working with an agent for something
Hmm.
versus working with an advisor.
Okay. So is that
Um,
what you do? Are you an advisor?
Yeah, I'm an advisor. So I'm a fiduciary. I have my license for that. And then I work always in the best interest of the client. That's the number one thing that we try to make sure that the client's interest in whatever they're looking for is always executed.
Makes sense. Okay.
And then
Go
it's
ahead.
just like HSAs and like different deferred accounts, then your Roth IRAs and looking into corporations eventually, college 529s. So it
Hmm.
breaks down in an order. It's pretty much ordered out all the way. It's about 20 chapters, 20 different topics. Each topic is about 3 to 4 pages. Try to keep it concise
Okay.
and to the point where it just tells you about the vehicle,
Hmm.
what the vehicle can do, ways you can maximize the vehicle, and an example on how to kind of maximize the vehicle.
Okay. So where can somebody get a copy of this?
So you can get it on my website. You can get a free copy if you want an ebook. If you want actual like paperback or hardcover
Mhm.
or the audiobook, it's available on Amazon as well as many other retailers, Barnes and Nobles. You can take just Google it, tax strategies for high net worth individuals, and it should come up. This is how it looks.
Sweet.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna ask you this. I actually had a private conversation with you about this as well. Is the discipline it takes to write a book, right? Sometimes people tend to forget how much goes into actually writing a book. And
Yeah.
anytime I think of something that is long and drawn out, I think of Kobe Bryant. I think of the Mamba mentality, where he spoke highly of, you have to appreciate the boredom, you have to appreciate the consistency and the discipline. So tell me about your struggles with writing the book, and how did you find discipline through that entire process, and how long did it take you?
So the total process was about a year, and it started off with me writing articles. And I mean, I have a monthly blog I put up, and then I have my Mac Money Mondays, which are like quick
I've seen that.
tidbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have a monthly blog where we go kind of more in depth on a topic
Mhm.
and just try to explain and try to give you kind of not loopholes, but just what the tax code says and interpret in a way that would be beneficial to you.
Mhm.
So from there, I started writing these articles, and then I just, like I said, there wasn't anything out there where I saw that, hey, if I had read this book and I understood that these are the right vehicles and this is the way I need to look at money,
Mhm.
or I might have picked a different career because it might have just been like, hey, this isn't for growth, this isn't for this isn't for that. A lot of people pick their career. What I feel like is because they go into college, they're thinking that I'm going to make XYZ type of money,
Right.
and they pick a career based on that
Yeah.
rather than being passionate about what they want.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted people to kind of get out of that mentality. And from there, I was like, maybe if I write this kind of short book about, I can try to keep it to 100 pages.
Right.
So it's very concise. It just hits the main points that you need to look at, and then you can dive deeper into yourself as well. Um, and that kind of drew me out to just keeping and being consistent, like working on it almost. I ended up spending so many hours out of the day. It was just early morning usually when I get most of my stuff done. So
Mhm.
I just that was one of the first things I tackle. And I think one of the things about being consistency or being consistent is that's the number one thing eh, to anything. To anything is just being consistent. Day one, it's not going to happen. Day 100, it's not going to happen,
Right.
but it will click. It will click. Like one day, something you will wake up and all the things are starting to rotate. Things start to make sense to you.
Right. You're building that house one brick at a time.
Yeah, one brick, and then just don't give up. Like, I mean, if you really love it that bad, if you're that passionate about it, then you will keep doing it. You will persevere through it.
So I think one of the things that you said that really hits me is, you're right. People, and I I was a victim of this, so I can absolutely admit to this. People throughout college tend to make decisions based on where is it that they're going to make the most amount of money,
Hmm.
right? So getting out of college, your first job, if somebody's paying you 30 versus somebody's paying you 60, you would end up going for the 60,000, even though the 30 might be a passionate goal for you, right? And I
Hmm.
think there is a huge lack of education within our system to identify what you love. We don't have a path to figure out what is your passion. We have a path to say, go try everything, but nobody really talks to you about, where's marketing going to take you, where's advertising going to take you, what's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm.
So when you're working with individuals, I never put this together, but it seems like a lot of your passion is to help people find their passion, but by freeing them from their financial constraints. Where do you see those aha moments when you take people away from money, when you say, hey, look, here's the habits, here's the strategies that you can do to save money? Have
Hmm.
you seen people now decide to say, okay, I've been doing something I absolutely hate, I'm going to now change my career? Or is that a gradual decision that they make?
So I work with people that are already kind of established in their career for most part, and but the younger people I deal with, yeah,
Mhm.
they do because they're more open, right? They're trying to gain experience. I think college, one thing, it's we haven't emphasized on our generations yet on traits.
Yeah.
We've emphasized on college, which is a great multi-million dollar, billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Like it's so much money that's involved in there, and I mean they have some of the best lobbyists that are out fighting for those schools.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honestly true, that's just how our system works.
Hmm.
One thing people need to realize is that aha moment themselves. And one thing is like when you have that degree, right? Like I realized it. It's when I was sitting there and I looked to the left. I was like, wow, all these people just graduated with me. So
Yeah.
what makes me different from them?
Yeah.
I mean, I just paid for this type of money to get graduate from here, and now everybody has the same thing I have. And there is a generation of people that had it before me. and a generation of people that have it after me. So it's
Yeah.
all on your individuality. You can't expect that piece of paper to kind of, oh, I demand something from it because I got it done. One thing it teaches you is how to get the job done.
Hmm.
4 years of getting in, getting out, 5 years, whatever it takes to get the job from point A to point B. That is
Right.
the number one thing it teaches you. Other than that, you need to figure out very quick on what is it that separates you, or what is your individuality. And I think when people find that out, or if they follow their passion, they'll be able to find their individuality a lot easier.
And you've seen money as an opposing force, because I would think that'd be a biggest factor, right? People don't choose to find their passion because there is this contradiction in our world that your passion cannot turn into your career, right? Something that is so fun for you, only the elite athletes or the very talented actors or people who have lucky breaks could turn
Mhm.
their passion into careers. We've got this mindset built in, and I think money is a big part of that.
I 100% agree. And I think money is a big part about it. Like that's why it's you kind of need to you kind of need to just not worry about it. Like you need to talk to somebody about it. It's not like something that you can't just, oh, I need to just turn off the switch. But if you can tackle it and set up the good foundation early on, then it's very achievable to do what you please. I understand like the main people it hits are the people that come here as immigrants,
Yeah.
first generation. They're not sure how the tax code works here. Most of them didn't
Right.
have a strong structured government that enforced taxation as the way it works over here. So they need to understand how the process of this land works.
Mhm.
And from there, like once they everybody starts saving money, right? Everybody, when they have kids, for the most part they want to provide them some sort of education, provide what's good for them, maybe the best, right? Just
Right.
depending, but they want at least them to have the bare necessities if they can.
Yeah. I think our so this is a backwards effect of our education system. So you and I both come from immigrant families. And
Hmm.
I say this very openly that if you know anything about immigrant families, when they first come here, you can't be creative. You better be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. You better be in those three categories because our education system heavily focuses on the fact that that is where the money is, that is where the success is, right? So anybody within an immigrant family who's growing up here, typically their creative side is either shunned down or kind of pushed away to say, nope, you shouldn't look at that. You shouldn't work on that. Go work on these three or four fields. And
Yeah.
I do think the crux is the education system. If we tend to open it up, if we tend to accept the fact that, especially now, there's people who used to play games growing up and now they're making multi-million dollars playing games online virtually for a living, right? If that really truly is your passion, if that what really brings you happiness, then there's nothing that's impossible in today's world. And I think our education system is the biggest flaw in there.
Yeah, I think it's that, and then the mentality thing.
Hmm.
Back in most of the countries where our parents are from, Southeast Asia,
Hmm.
the, there is only three things that you can do to get out of the slums.
Yep.
There is only three occupations to get you out of that country and out of slums: is become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, that
Yeah.
they know that you will be okay in that country. Other jobs aren't paying really anything, or
Right.
maybe a CPA in some financial field,
Right.
but like an accountant or some working for a bank. But
Right.
like other than those four careers, it's very, very rough unless you're a business owner, and that goes throughout any. I guess it depends, right? Like even as a business owner, there's some really rough periods.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
over here in America, America, like it breeds innovation. It
Hmm.
breeds ideas. It sells ideas. It's the biggest seller of ideas in the world.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to act like you're still living in Southeast Asia when you're out here in USA, and it's a different mentality. And it's not your fault. It's
Right.
just that you're trying to play it safe because you don't know the law of the land, the lay of the land for the most part.
Right.
So you need to do a little bit of research and figure out, okay, this is how this system works. If I'm going to live here,
Right.
right? If I'm going to dedicate the rest of my 80 years here, let me at least take 1 year to understand, okay, this is how this system works, and let me try to adapt to the system, but not don't change your culture.
No.
Just you need to adapt to what the system is financially, legally, and that will help you understand how to grow a lot quicker here to build that foundation out.
I mean, also there's a finite number of doctors, lawyers, and engineers that can be thrown out into the world, right? And our
Yeah.
culture pushes so many of them into the pipeline that now you're not destined to fail or succeed, but your chances are lower. Even if you do succeed, you graduate because the jobs are going to be limited. You're competing with so many different people for that exact same job, and the other markets have now started to open up a lot more.
Yeah, and that tech breeds a new
Yeah.
innovation. It brings new sectors in. It allows people to like achieve their passion a lot quicker. Um, you have to stay updated with times, right? Like that's survival of the fittest. That's Darwinism at it. Like
Yeah.
no matter how you apply it, but it ends up being that like y- you need to either be up with the time or you're going to be left behind with whatever field you are because America, there like I said, there are people when they graduate med school to the
Mhm.
left and to the right of you. Now being a doctor, there is
Yeah.
a lot of safety. There's a big high safety net where you can get a government job, get
Mhm.
a pension through the government and make at least 150 to 200,000, and that's still a high. You would still be considered in the top 10, top 15%, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
having that type of income. So if that's the small base, it's set very high, which is really good. Like that's why people want to strive for that. But
Right.
there's always opportunity, right? Like
Mhm.
you have to just put yourself out there and just be confident, be a subject matter expert, and like I think that's what I see with you. It's like when I've always seen that, like it's always the confident, like, hey, this is like what I'm doing. This is what I like to do, and you're really good at getting that part across.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you this whole pandemic has given me the opportunity of time to be able to talk to individuals who are SMEs, right? To you, to some of the other ones that I've spoken about. And that message honestly just kind of builds my own messaging internally to say, yeah, I'm doing exactly what I love to do because I'm seeing other people who are doing exactly what they love to do.
Yeah, and I that's the one thing I love about meeting new clients and meeting new people because
Mhm.
there's always a story, right? And the best thing you can do is share your story and
Mhm.
listen to other people's story. Like
I
you
love
got to
that.
be a good listener. You got to be a good listener in life. You're going to learn a lot more from listening than from speaking.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Um, there was a TED talk that I recently heard, and I don't remember the lady's name, but what she said was so powerful. We don't live in a society of questions or of answers anymore, right? Anything that you want an answer of, just go to Google and you'll find it. But
Hmm.
we are in the age of asking the right question. Do you know what to ask, right? If you go to
Yeah.
Google and if you don't know what to ask, you're gonna get random crap that comes back at you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
that is
think
true.
that's what listening does, right? When you listen to somebody, now you know what to ask rather than just throwing gibberish out there or throwing people into these buckets and say, okay, these are my line of questions for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can even find generic questions on Google as well, right? Like that's what you can do. And then you need to use even those questions, but build off your own.
Yeah,
Don't use somebody else's brain. Like use your own brain. Like use the primary source, even if it's a secondary source, that might be your primary source, but use your
right.
brain to build off of that, right? Like to make sure that you don't stop your innovation. And I think that's a lot things with TV and media.
Yeah,
It's going to try to influence you. It's going to sell you. That's the whole point. I mean, you like it's capitalism. If you're gonna you live in a capitalist society at the end of the day. You
yeah,
can't change it. I mean, it hasn't changed. And if you're going to change it, obviously to change capitalism, you need a lot of money.
right.
So, so, so don't be fooled by what you watch on TV. Try to use your own brain and try to come up to your own conclusions.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, right? As seen on TV, I call it the cut and paste society. Everybody's trying
Yeah.
to sell you a cut and paste formula. And if it was that easy, everybody would do it. And if everybody would do it, they wouldn't be making money off of it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is, and that's why I think the people that are passionate about what they do is what sets them apart.
Yeah.
It's like no matter what, like I'm not going to stop doing this. some form of being in a financial advisor or helping people
Mhm.
understand that there's financial freedom, and you can just set up the right steps from
Mhm.
whatever job you're doing, because people used to work for a certain amount of years. They used to get a pension. They would
Mhm.
work for 20 years. They would be maybe 15, 16 when they get to start working. They would work for about 20 years, and they would be around 36, 40. They would retire. They would have a pension now from that old employer. And
Mhm.
they would be able to then, at that point, use that pension at 36, go start a business that they wanted to
Yeah.
grow that. And they had some sort of income.
Mhm.
So it was different back then than compared to now, where corporations, some of them, want you to keep working in the system, want you to be part of the system, don't want to breed competition,
Right.
right? Like that guy would have probably, after working in that company for so long, gone and maybe started one little aspect of that company and grow off and do that. So
Absolutely.
they try to keep you in the pipeline more so than you going and trying to build your own or use your own innovation, or even be productive with them and become a partner with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have to ask you, what's the future for M&A Wealth now?
So there's a couple of things that are in the pipeline right now. I'm actually just opened an insurance company that's attached completely with M&A Wealth, so we'll be working hand in hand with them. And like it's my own company that I'm launching, and we're working with more business insurance and life insurance, and making sure that all of those services are taken care of, and do the right service on there. So full financial services firm, and then hoping that if everything works out, I would be able to start managing some private equity funds and being able to get more opportunities where people would be able to invest in businesses, invest in the community, and invest in people that need the money, right? Give the people that need the money. And if you can invest in your own community with your own local businesses, I think it's a great opportunity that hasn't been tapped yet.
Absolutely. So, other what the people that are listening right now, who are the ideal clients that should be reaching out to you?
So, people that want to have financial questions, honestly, like it's not like we work. The reason the book is written and we work with high net worth individuals is because there's more you can do with more money.
Hmm.
Obviously, right? Like, I mean, you can save. The first things that you need to do are save in the right buckets. Once you max out those buckets through savings and percentage wise, you pay off your debt.
Hmm.
At that point, there's more strategies that then open up as you have more and more money. So if you need first the basic counseling and making sure that you need to, these are the right buckets. This is where I currently at. This is where I want to go though.
Hmm.
We help you. We help you get organized and make sure that you contribute to the right buckets. And then we can also find opportunities using our investment strategy, where I'm able to take less risk as you have more money, because our investment strategy, we use an options based investment strategy where we're able to kind of take less risk up front for the client,
Hmm.
the bigger the portfolio is,
Okay.
because it's just kind of like you're acting as a bank more so.
Okay. For your own money.
Yeah, for your own money. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It works in that way.
That makes sense. Hey, so before I wrap up, one of the things that I'm pretty sure I would want to ask you if I was on the call itself is, with the current environment that we're in right now, what's your advice for people and their money itself?
So always make sure that you try to minimize your debt,
Hmm.
increase your savings basically. In the stock market, we are at, I think there's some pullback, but if there's new stimulus that comes into the market and Congress decides to stop playing games and actually take care of the people,
Right.
like if they start actually doing that and they do give out some money, then I think we will see the market even take new, like even be in a new bullish market, because like you said, right, you're following your passion now, right?
Hmm.
You're a business owner, so you're going to, it's endless opportunity.
Yeah.
And if there's more people now out that are being able to follow their passion and they're making the best of their time, which I think in America, most people, even when they're working for a company, they have a side hustle, they have something going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think there's a good majority that do, so maybe they're focusing more on that. And I think it might be a little rough patch,
Hmm.
but in the long run, in 10, 15 years, which investing is all about, it's all about the long term.
Right.
I think America has a lot of opportunity and a lot of growth still ahead of itself.
That makes sense. All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you for your time, man. This was truly awesome. I want to bring you back here for once we're out of this pandemic to see
Yeah.
how the world has changed and what other advice you would have for the people who are listening on here. Any knowledge nuggets, any tidbits before we kind of sign off?
No, just keep listening to your podcast. I think you got a lot of tidbits coming ahead, and I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard some, try to catch some here and there that I can, and yeah, man, just always smile, be happy. I think that's it, right? Find your passion,
Yeah.
and just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And guys, anybody who's listening on this call or is watching the replay, I don't think I could put it better than that, right? This is the time right now for you to be able to find your passion, spend time with your family, call a loved one. You have the gift
Definitely.
of time. Use it to the best of your ability. If you have any financial questions, reach out to Adil. I'll put his contact information on the website along with the podcast information. If you need any help finding your passion, reach out to my team and we can assist you. Again, thank you so much for joining the Culture Shift, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.